So let's move on and let's talk about protecting young plants. So we talked a little bit about this, I think Linda, just a little bit when she was planting some of the plants in the video last week. I want to first talk about hardening off plants. So it's really important for you to understand if a plant is really ready to be put outside overnight. So if you are starting seeds inside your house, for example, and they're used to being in 65, 70-degree weather all the time, and you're going to move them outside one day, they're going to get shocked. Just like we get shocked when all of a sudden it's nice outside and 70 the first time, and we think it's just as hot as can be, and it's really not. The plants get shocked by the temperature swings, hot and cold at night, as well as the UV rays, the sun. And so it's not just if you've been planting seeds in your house, but it also can depend on where you're buying them from. You know, Bimart, I see they keep them out all night. They're probably acclimated to the cold weather at night, but the Master Gardener cell, they're not acclimated. They've been in a greenhouse. Maybe they've had a little bit of a temperature swing, but they're not really ready for the 50-degree weather we might get at night. So if you've got plants in that situation, what you want to do is slowly acclimate them to the temperature swing, to the changes of being outside. And so I personally, I'll take them and I'll start putting them outside for an hour or two one day, and then over the week I'll have them be outside a little bit longer every single day in sun and shade, and get them used to that. And then the last night before I put them out, maybe even 2 nights, I might put them by the back door. That's not going to be as cold as putting them in the garden, but it's pretty close, a couple degrees warmer. So if you're bringing home transplants, make sure you read up on that and think about it, because I've learned the hard way and killed a few plants by not really thinking through what I was doing. Got so excited to get them into the garden. So you need to do the hardening off. In addition, as you're planting them, do think about the sun and wind. And there was an example last week of a piece of wood that was put up to block I think that was a tomato plant, from getting that hard sun. So there's things you can do to block that a little bit. And then if you've got insects and bugs in your garden as well, you can protect them. And there's actually a couple photos here on the right-hand side. There's a photo of 2-liter bottles that have the bottoms cut off, and they're put over the plants and can protect them from the insects, but also provide just a couple degrees of additional warmth at night to protect them from that temperature swing. So why don't we talk a little bit about, let's go to the next slides, and we'll talk about soil, and we'll get to the compost comment or question I think that was made up. So mulch is one of my favorite things. I actually use compost, 3-in-1 compost, quite a bit, but I really like to put a layer of mulch down in the summer. It serves a lot of purposes. One, it will hold the moisture in a little bit better. So it's the first line of defense and what gets beat down by the sun before the soil itself does. It also helps suppress weeds. So I'll always plant my garden and then put 4 to 6 inches of compost down around the plants. Now this picture shows some hay, I think, in and around the cabbage. That'll work as well as compost. And then you can also do something similar in the fall and put it down, and that will help minimize the erosion and nutrient loss you might have from water pushing or watering down on the soil. And at any point in either of those situations, when you're done with it, you can actually turn it over and then have it build into your soil to help create new healthy soil and bring some nutrients into the soil. Another option for mulching, let's go to the next slide, for adding some protection is a cover crop. So here we've got a picture of mulch on the left-hand side and a cover crop there on the right-hand side. So in the winter, you could plant a cover crop, and that can serve a couple purposes. Again, it can help protect from soil erosion. It also can help build up some nutrients in your soil. And I think if we go to the next slide, it'll actually talk a little bit about cover crops. So cover crops are really something you don't do this time of year. You want to plant them between August and October. There's a variety of different seeds that are available. I've done clover. I know that there's fava beans and some peas that can be put in the ground. Again, all small seeds that you lay on the ground and let it grow. You can either take your whole garden out, or you can actually start laying those seeds in and around your plants. So you've got, you know, a few plants left in the garden in late summer, go ahead and start dropping in the cover crop seeds and let them start to grow up while you're still finishing your crops. One thing you do want to do is get those cut or pulled out, depending on how you're getting rid of them in the spring. Again, that's a mistake I've made. I've done clover a couple times, and oh, it's so pretty. It's this nice like burgundy red color. Yeah, once it does that, it's a lot harder to get out. So if you put a cover crop in, you wanna cut that down, harvest it, so to speak, or turn it under before it goes to seed. And another option is also to then put it in a compost pile. So you can decompose it that way, or turn it into your soil and then let it sit there for a week or two before you're gonna do any planting. I think, yep, that is the last of it. Any questions or anything any master gardeners want to add about protecting plants and mulches?
So I have another cover crop story. In that picture, it had fava beans. First year I grew fava as a cover crop. I thought, oh, I'll let these mature and harvest them as well. So we did that a couple of times, and I'm decided I'm not a huge fava bean fan. Unfortunately, in the adjacent tree, there was a nest of blue jays, and those babies went crazy for the fava beans. And even after we took out that cover crop, the blue jays hung around all summer and just feasted on the garden. So yeah, definitely rip out your cover crops before they set flowers, set seeds, and everything else, because you're just asking for it.